This is in the herd. It's a
Gospel
little
kind of
gospel to it. So
Yeah.
when we invited the group last time we did this song, it's just a belt out whenever you feel like
Clap.
clap and just go crazy.
Just get
It's just gospel. That's what we do.
and have fun. Yeah.
Lord, I've done
He's
the
done.
best I can.
Best he can.
Lord, every day I try to be a better man.
He's the best.
You know I tried
He's
to
done.
criticize. I've been looking for the speck in my own.
In his eyes.
But after all this time, I
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
in the hood,
In the hood.
Lord, Lord of the wicked. After all this time, I made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood. You know I lost
He's
my
lost.
best friend.
Best friend.
Well, we thought we'd be together till the end.
Till the end.
Please, he's one
Please, he's
of the
lost.
chosen few. Well, the only ones who could ever get through. And at his church,
At his church.
it's a sin.
It's so sad.
Lord, I think those were not getting in.
Yeah.
After all this time,
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
in the hood,
In the hood.
oh Lord of the bucket. After all this time, I
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
there's a young man
Young man.
filled with hate. He believes he can change his own fate. Believes he's one of the chosen few. Well, the only ones who could ever get through. Believes that God wants him to kill, and he'll give him free virgins if he will. But after all this time, I
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
in the hood,
In the hood.
oh
Lord of the bucket.
after all this time,
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
you know I'm doing
He's
the
done.
best I can.
Best he can.
Every day I try to be a better man.
He's good.
You know I try
He's
to
done.
criticize. I've been looking for the speck in my own.
In his eyes.
But after all this time, I
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood. In the hood. In the hood.
after all this time, I
Made up my mind and I praise the Lord in the hood.
in the hurt,
In the hood.
in the hurt.
In the hood.
Oh Lord above,
Give the word.
'cause stupid can be cured no matter what you heard. And I pray me, Lord, in the hurt.
Let's give it up one more time for Joel and Elenia. Cool. Very cool. I wanted to get some music in here because I'm sick and tired of listening to people. Actually, the thing is my radio died. I'm not doing a set. My radio had been dead for about a year, and it was just AM stations for a while. And then it cut out. And then for about 3 months, I had no radio. But then I got to think about all the things that I've done in my life. And that's why I'm diagnosed with clinical depression. So, get a radio. It's awesome. We have a very funny man. He has proven his worth, and he is here to show it again. He was at open mic. He did a fantastic job. Let's give it up for John Smith. Get up here.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all out here tonight. I'm glad to be here, too. My name is John Smith, and
before anybody jumps to anything, I want to clear that I'm not in any way affiliated nor associated with the famous explorer John Smith. I have received this multiple times in my life, ever since elementary school. No, I do not paint with any, let alone all the colors of the wind, nor have I ever forced myself upon a young Native American woman. Thank you. No, actually, my name, John Smith, there's quite a few stories. I won't bog you down with all of them, but how I got the name John Smith. And one of my favorites, it comes from my parents. And they were really trying to struggle. They were trying to find a name for their kid once they found out that it was going to be a boy. And they said, well, we could name him after you. We could name him Robert. And they thought about it, and they were like, no, we really don't like Robert Smith because that's the name of the man from The Cure. Also, it is also the name of a known terrorist and enemy to the United States of America. And my father, Robert Smith, has been bogged down at every airport and forced to do a strip search every time. So they wanted me to be able to avoid that kind of life, and I'm very thankful to them for that. However, names are very difficult for my parents to find one. And every time they'd come up with one, well, we could name him Dylan. I dated Dylan in high school, and every Dylan I meet, I think of him, and they're all jackasses. So they went to others. They said, well, we could name him William, after your father, Christine. And my mom said, yeah, William. That's a good name. And personally, I love the name William. I would have totally snatched that up. And so they're telling everyone in the family, oh, he's going to be William Robert Smith, and it's going to be a great thing. And my grandmother, my great-grandmother, she's talking to my mom. She says, I can see it now. I can see calling little Billy Bob from the yard to come eat. And I have never heard such panic in my mother as she's telling this story. She cannot stand Southern names, so she struck that one immediately from the list. So they settled for John Smith because they couldn't find any Johns that they hated. And I hate my name. I detest it. John Smith, it is way too simple. I go into banks, I see my name. I'm watching television, I see my name. Everywhere, it's John Smith. But I've never met another John Smith, and I guess it is kind of unique in that way. So a little bit about me. I'm a very simple guy. I like playing video games, I like going to school, I'm in a band, and I have a dog who is probably my favorite thing on this planet. His name is Badger. And I don't know of a dumber dog. I'm sure you all have had the dog that's like, and that to a certain extent is my dog. But my dog Badger, you can clap your hands, and he will look at it with such fear and confusion, and he'll move closer to investigate, because he has no idea what's going on, and he will keep moving until his face is between your hands, and he'll just sit there getting smacked in the face. And I'm not saying I smack my dog. I do not condone animal abuse. Wait, the dog. I suddenly have no idea what that word means. Never mind. I am not saying I abused my dog, but he's dumb. If you put a blanket over Badger, he will sit there, and he has no idea what to do, and he will succumb to his fate and curl into a ball and start crying. And I'm fairly certain that is not a good sign for a dog's intelligence. If you all have dogs, I'm sure you've gotten treats for them. You've gotten I don't know if you have them, but there are these toys, and you put treats inside them, and they can shake them, try to get the toys out, and my dog, he just sits there, and he cries and pokes it with his little nose, trying to get the freaking food. And he's willing it out of there, and you can see he wants it, but he doesn't get the concept of pushing the part in and they fall out. And such a good dog. I just wish he knew how to walk. He does this thing, and he'll try, and you'll call him. You're like, Badger, come here, you good little boy. And his foot starts flopping, and he'll step on his own foot, and then look at it with the same confusion, the blank stare, and then he'll headbutt it just again and again. Well, enough about my dog. He is a very good dog. I'm sorry. Back to my name, John Smith. A very interesting thing about single children is that you all the time are ending 50% of a perfect lineage. And in that I mean, if you're a single child, an only child, and you look back in the family tree, there is always an unbroken chain of the same sex, and it's always going back. It's also going back for a woman, it's going back for a man, and that boggles my mind. Just thinking you've got a father, great-grandfather, and you could do that forever. However, I don't know if that's unique to me, because I, as a kid, would get excited. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Sometimes I think I'm pretty dumb. I have a really low self-esteem. A lot of the times I suffer with a lot of depression, potentially have borderline personality disorder. And I'm not trying to get any pity. I don't deserve any pity, but I just want to give you a frame of reference for the next story. I have no game with the opposite sex. Yeah, he can tell. He can tell. So I met a girl a couple weeks ago, and it was at Tori's. It was at the sushi karaoke place, and I sat there and I looked at her for a little while, and I said, "Man, if I had a higher self-esteem, I would go talk to that lady because she looks kind of cool." And so I did eventually. And this is something that's new to me, is I am taking more risks. I'm taking more steps. And I did. After the night was just about over, I went right on up and I said, "Hey, yes, coffee. I like it. Yeah." She laughed and she started saying, "Okay, well, what do you do?" And I was like, I walk, I breathe, I play Pokemon, lots of Pokemon. And yes, I am 20 years old and I still play Pokemon. It's an addiction and a habit. And I actually managed to get this girl's number by talking about Pokemon. And I hold that very high. Is this girl, she's looking, and she actually worked at GameStop, so it made perfect sense. And she's like, "Oh, Pokemon, I've been waiting to play Pokemon. It's the Pokemon X." And I says, "Yeah, you know, I play it all the time. I've got a Mega Charizard, level 66. She says, "Really? Mega Charizard? That's my favorite thing. I want to see it." Okay, so I whip out my 3DS that I carry with me everywhere. I show her this level 66 Mega Charizard, and I had to go through a whole battle to get it. And basically, to wrap a story up, I do not have game. It's very depressing. But game, I do have at least one game. That game's Pokemon. A little bit more about my history. I used to be a Boy Scout. And not everyone is a Boy Scout. It's a very rough association to try to get along with because they hate just about everybody. And as a Boy Scout, we would camp, and I hate the outdoors, and we would go and we'd walk, and I'd hate physical exertion, and we'd go and tie knots, and I hate fumbling around because I have no dexterity. So one of the best things I actually did do with the Boy Scouts is we took a trip to Washington, D.C., and it was a 2-week journey, just trekking through D.C., hiking through the marshes, and then eventually going to see some of the national monuments. And if you've never been to the East Coast, or another place with very high moisture, bring something, because you will chafe. And I'm 17 at the time, and I'm trying to avoid walking with any skin contact. And when you're marching up to the freaking National Archives like this, as though you're trying to hide something, it gets the attention of the security guards. So I'm going up trying to see the Declaration of Independence. This man, he stops me and he says, You got anything on your personage?" "No." "Why are you walking like that, boy?" "I hurt." Everywhere. And he looked at me and he had no idea. He's like, "Well, I see you're a Boy Scout. I can tell by the uniform. I was a Boy Scout. I know the pain." So he let me in. It was a really good time. One wrap-up story. Let's see. So, did I yes. This is one of my favorites. I once punched myself in the face. And I don't know about you guys. When I get frustrated, I punch myself in the face. But the hardest time I ever did punch myself in the face, it was, if you ever drive, sometimes people punch the ceiling when you go through a yield. They just punch it. And it's like a good luck thing or something, I don't know. So I punched the ceiling. And so I got super used to this. I've been doing this for 3 years. And last semester when I started going to college, I started bicycling because I wanted to get healthy. And so I go to punch the ceiling as I'm going through a yield sign, and I suddenly punch and realize there's no roof, and it freaks me out. So I withdraw my face and smack myself really freaking hard. Corner of McHenry and Coffee. No. McHenry and Orangeburg, excuse me. And I fall off of my bike and do a face plant, and my bike spills over me and cuts me on the back of the neck. One of the worst nights of my life, and I'm glad I could share it with you. Thank you very much for coming out here.